First, going to mention the Oklahoma Sooners ranked number 16 in the AP preseason poll. I mean, looking at this, number 16, for me, I feel like you can't really be upset. And on top of that, I mean, if you just take away where we're ranked and just altogether, just talking about the AP preseason poll, what's the point? What is the point of it? I do like the fact that we have polls preseason and leading up to the season and throughout the season. I like the fact that we have polls. I do think they're a little bit pointless because you haven't seen anybody, you haven't seen them play, you haven't seen them touch the field yet, so why even rank them? I like the fact that we kind of know where they expect us to be. Where whoever it is that's making these polls, whoever it is that's voting, or however the polls, whichever poll it is that we're talking about, coaches poll, AP poll, and then the playoff poll. I like to know where they think that we belong. And so personally, I like the polls. Do they really serve any purpose? Not really, other than the fact that I do think that those polls leading up to when we get to the committee voting, I think they do kind of persuade how the committee is going to rank you going forward. So they are totally silly. Don't overreact to this, but I do want to hear from you guys as Sooner fans. Are the Oklahoma Sooners ranked too high, too low, or just right? Kind of like Goldilocks, too hot, too cold, or just right? I want to hear from you guys. I personally think too high. Rank us a little lower. I love to see the Oklahoma Sooners climb up in the polls the more that we win. And I have really high hopes for this team this year. I have hopes of a 10, 11, who knows, 12-win season. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not trying to be totally delusional and set myself up for total sadness when they don't go undefeated. So, I do have hopes that we can do that this year, and I think this roster is talented enough to do that. But with looking at the Oklahoma Sooners and seeing where we're at and who we play, it's a very tough schedule ahead. So even if we were to win 9 games, I think we have a really good season this year just because of who we face. And there's even a couple of other teams that I think have an opportunity to be ranked by the time we play them. Starting off, Oklahoma plays 6 teams that are ranked in this AP preseason top 25. There's 6 of them that are ranked in the top 15. Oklahoma's at 16. So there are 6 teams that we play that are ranked above us in this preseason poll. That is a little bit scary looking in, but it's also exciting knowing that we have a tough schedule. There is something to be excited about, having that strength of schedule on our side, where before the Oklahoma Sooners played in the Big 12 and they didn't play anybody important. They didn't have this tough schedule. That's what everyone told us. You can't tell us that anymore because we're playing teams like ranked number 15, Tennessee. Texas ranked number 4, a little too high in my opinion, but I understand why they're ranked there. We're going to throw a little bit of shade over at the Longhorns anyways. Ole Miss ranked number 6. We've got Mizzou ranked number 11, Bama ranked at number 5, and then LSU ranked number 13. I do think there's a couple of these teams that may not be ranked by the time we get to them. Maybe not ranked where they're at or as high as they are. I think Mizzou is one of those that I'm not sure. I think they have a very good opportunity to stay right around that range, and I hope they do. I hope they all stay ranked and stay very highly ranked. I would love to play number 1 every week if we could, just to go in there and try to face off against the best team. And then LSU is another one that I'm questioning. Are they going to stay ranked in the top 15 by the time that we meet them in the last week of the regular season? So, there's a lot to be excited here. Obviously, I mean, with playing ranked teams, you can boast about that, especially if you win. You can boast about that. Some other teams that I look at on the schedule that I think could possibly at least be ranked in the top 25, maybe even ranked even higher. South Carolina, who knows? I've heard a lot of good things about South Carolina, so maybe they become ranked. Maybe they have a couple of surprise wins that we don't expect from them, and they're better than I'm thinking they're going to be. They could be ranked, and I think Auburn could possibly be in the top 25 by the time that we get to Auburn. So that's a couple of teams that I look at that I think could possibly be ranked, maybe not very high, but at least ranked so that when we face them, if we do win, it looks better on our resume knowing that we had beaten a ranked team. When we went against them, they were ranked. That's what matters. So I think this is amazing. I do like the number 16. I tease about us being ranked lower, but I think 16 fits Oklahoma pretty well. I look at other teams around in the AP top 25 right now in this preseason poll, And overall, I think it makes sense. I think there's a couple right at the end that I would probably shift around a little bit. And yeah, I mean, overall, it doesn't matter though. What really matters is when we get to the season, how we perform and who we beat, who we face off against. So ultimately, no, it doesn't matter, but we have fun talking about the preseason polls anyways. Another thing that I want to bring up about this top six, being ranked number 16 in this preseason poll, just overall looking at the fact that we have these 6 teams currently ranked in the top 15, this could really work in our favor. And I'll paint you a picture. Let's imagine that Oklahoma ends the season 9-3, which is right where I think most reasonable fans are probably predicting us to end at. That's my overall prediction, I think, is 9-3. I'm not really sure. I want to wait till closer to season to really have my full prediction, but that's kind of what I'm feeling right now. 9-3, I think, is reasonable. Even 10-2 is I think we're capable of getting there. We're capable of winning the whole thing. I'm going to say that. All right. So don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to be reasonable with expectations. I think setting the standard at 12-0 is where we set it as Oklahoma fans. But being reasonable and setting expectations at maybe 9-3, I think we can be happy with that being our first year. Let's build off that and move on next year. Next year, I think we're going to have a tougher schedule when you look at some of these home games that we have turning into away games. So that's something to look forward to. But let's paint a picture. Let's just say that Oklahoma goes 9-3. And those 3 losses were to different 10-2 teams. Maybe one of them was an 11-1 team. Maybe one of them was a 12-0 team at the end of the season. Who knows? If Oklahoma were to go 9-3, there's kind of a scenario where the committee might still put a 9-3 SEC team that had 6 ranked teams, especially 6 teams in the top 15 that they went against. I mean, if you're sitting there with 3 losses to ranked teams, highly ranked teams, and you ended up still beating 3 other highly ranked teams, at least when you went against them, that looks pretty good on your resume. And you might have a chance, depending on how everything else lays out, you might have a chance of making the playoffs. And if you've gotten this far in the season, everyone else is banged up now. Maybe we have some guys that aren't banged up. Maybe our depth shows up a lot, and we have a chance there in the playoffs. That's the weird thing about this new 12-team playoff that I think we need to step back and realize. So 9-3, if that were the situation, there's a possibility that you make the playoffs going 9-3 in the SEC especially. So just putting that out there, I don't think it's going to happen, but it's definitely going to happen in the future. You're going to see a 9-3, at least a 9-3 team make it to the playoffs and possibly even be that Cinderella team. But I don't see a 9-3 team winning the national championship, but it's out there. And the good thing about this 12-team playoff too is that you have some extra bowl games that you could win 2 trophies leading up to the national championship. So, that's another cool thing about it, is that at least you have some hardware to put in your trophy case as you get closer to the national championship game. And maybe you lose the national championship, but you still had a great season that you can be proud of. But anyways, seeing 6 ranked teams in the top 15 is a pretty exciting thing for Oklahoma Sooners fans. If we look at it and recognize strength of schedule is definitely a good thing. We're going to be battle-tested by the time we get to the postseason. We're going to be battle-tested if we make it to the playoffs. So that's a really good thing to look forward to. Hey, Sooner fans, did you enjoy this video? Well, go ahead and hit that like button and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. What are you doing if you've made it this far and haven't already? You should be able to find that subscribe button over here. And then if you want to see full episodes, we've got those up here and clips right down here. So go check that out. But we thank you all so much for all the love, all the support. We'll catch you next time. Boomer.